Hey everybody! Welcome to my tutorial on how to get more out of your practicing. As musicians, we can often get lost at our instruments. We sit down with the intent of accomplishing something, but often end up just jamming along to our favorite songs or playing some exercise we knew how to do 10 years ago. The purpose of this video is to give you a more meticulous focused direction in your practicing. I'm going to zoom into 5 different areas and work out some exercises and things to do with each of those. So today I'm going to choose timing, technique, musicality, listening, and independence. That's 5 areas, so let's zoom into each one. So for the timing section of this video, we're going to check out 2 exercises. The first one is called trading fours, and the second one is called the rhythm pyramid. Let's check it out. Oh wait, the camera's over there, my bad. Okay, so for trading fours to work, you need access to some kind of programmable metronome. I'm using Cubase 10, and what I've done is I've programmed 4 bars of click followed by 4 bars of silence. Let's have a listen to this. Then at the end it's going to loop back around. Watch this. Okay, so you get the idea. And for those of you who don't have access to something like this, I will export an MP3 of this so you can download it. I'll make it loop like 4 or 5 times, maybe a bit more, if you're lucky. What you're going to hear now is me playing 4 bars with the click, followed by 4 bars without the click, on repeat. Now if I'm doing this properly, what will happen is my first beat with the click will line up with the click itself. So if I'm playing too fast, I'll start my bar 1 before the click comes in, and if I'm playing too slowly, I'll start my bar 1 after the click comes in. Cool, well I was quite happy with that one. It was pretty spot on. I am a machine. So now that we've covered timing at a macro level, let me introduce you to my friend, the rhythm pyramid, so we can get deep into our subdivisions. Behold the mighty rhythm pyramid, designed by ancient Egyptian alien drummers. This magnificent construction will teach you to shift between different subdivisions with impunity. Starting with crotchets, then quavers, then triplets, then semiquavers, then quintuplets, and lastly sextuplets. Going down and up and down and up, and even skipping a few levels if you're feeling brave. So, for our first go at the pyramid, we're going to go from level 1 to level 6, back to level 1, doing each subdivision 4 times. Wish me luck. Now we're going to try skipping levels. So we're going to go from 1 to 3 to 5, then 6 to 4 to 2. Ah! Right, now let's move on to technique. So before we get into our exercises, I want to share with you something that I learned from watching a Dave Weckl video, which really helped my playing. I used to get terrible wrist pains while I was playing, and then just shifting my grip in a very simple way, really helped. Now I can play faster, with less effort, and with less strain. No more wrist pains, it's awesome. Alright, so most of you have been taught to play, I don't know if you can see this properly, to play with your first finger and thumb as your fulcrum point. Now while this is all good and well and it affords you lots of control, its drawback is that you don't get a lot of rebound. Just have a look at this. The stick doesn't bounce that much. But what if you change your grip to this, the middle finger and the thumb? Now your stick has more room to move. Watch the difference. Look how many rebounds you get. Now the only drawback of this is it's more difficult to control. The stick will move around a lot more in your hand, leading to some unfortunate stick flying incidents. But after enough practice, you'll get this under control and will be a much more efficient way of playing for you. Okay, so for our technique section, we're going to take 3 rudiments and use them in ways which improve our timing, articulation, and ability to move around the kit. Our first one is going to be called the shifted accent single stroke roll. The name sounds very complicated and convoluted, but it's actually quite simple. It's just a 4-note single stroke roll. What we're going to do is we're going to shift the accent from the first note to the second note, and then the third note and the fourth note, doing each one 4 times. Let's have a listen. Now we're going to try the same exercise, but do the first grouping on the snare, then next grouping on tom 1, and then on tom 2, then on tom 3. Let's check it out. Alright, so our next rudiment we're going to dissect is called the hurter. For those of you who don't know what that is, it is 2 16th notes followed by 2 8th notes. And it sounds like this. Tiki-tate, 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 tiki-tate. And on the drums, like this. Let's make sure that doesn't fall over. Yes. And at speed. Okay, so now we're going to try a few variations of the hurter. First, we're going to play once per drum, snare tom 1, tom 2, tom 3. Then we're going to try break it up by playing some of the notes on the toms and some of the notes on the snare. But we'll get there. Let's just try the once per drum first. Okay, lacquer out. Now we're going to break the hurter up into 3 notes plus 1 note. So we're going to play the first 3 notes on the tom and then the last note on the snare. Let's do it. Okay, now we're going to play 2 notes on the tom followed by 2 notes on the snare. Are you ready for this? Alright, for our last rudiment, we're going to check out the flam triplet. And for this one, we're going to shift the flam from the first partial to the second partial to the third partial of the triplet every 4 beats. Not only that, but we're also going to play the accents, or not the accents, but the main hand of the flam on the tom. So whenever we have a right hand, we're going to use tom 2. Whenever we have a left hand, we're going to use tom 1. And all the other notes will be on the snare. So just to elaborate on what I mean by flams on different partials. If you have the flam on the first partial, it'll sound like this, between the tom and the snare and then two snares. Then on the second partial, it'll be a snare, then tom one with the left hand with the snare, then just the snare. Then on the third partial, it'll sound like this. Okay, so let's put it together into the exercise. So when we're talking about musicality, we're talking about traits of different genres. So the three genres I'll be discussing today are progressive rock, funk, and punk. Now with progressive rock drumming, you need to be able to shift between time signatures seamlessly and musically. It can't be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It mustn't be cagey like that. So to get that right, we're going to try an exercise shifting between 4/4 and 7/8, playing fills and beats. Cool, let's try some Dream Theater. Right, let's talk a bit about funk drumming. Now the two most important things are this. 1. Make sure your bass drum locks in absolutely with the bass player. If this is the bass player, that should be you, or the other way around, whatever you prefer. Secondly, don't let your hi-hat and bass drum be dependent on each other for articulation and accents. You should be able to freely play 16th notes while playing crotchets or quavers on your bass drum, and vice versa. So let's check out some examples of that, and then we'll play a song or two. So for this first beat example, I'm going to be playing sets of 3 semi-quavers on my hi-hat while playing a syncopated bass drum quaver pattern underneath. Let's check it out. Now I'm going to flip the script a bit. I'm going to play straight quavers on my hi-hat while playing a semi-quaver bass drum pattern with lots of variation. Now the most important thing with punk drumming is to make sure your dynamics are very flat, especially for heavy parts like choruses. So where you'll notice this most is on the hi-hat. So when you see punk drummers playing the hi-hat, they won't do this. They won't have that waving motion between your down and up beats. They'll play like this. Obviously this is not for all examples, but like in most cases. So we're going to check out a song now called Still Waiting by Sum 41, which will illustrate this. listen up. For our listening section, we're going to check out the intro from First Date by Blink 182. Here we go. We're going to have to slow that down a little bit. Cool, so let's start with the basics. Let's chat about the different drums we can hear and then move on to what subdivisions are being used. So let's start with the drums. So we got hi-hats and snares at the start, with basses in between each group of hi-hat and snare. Have a listen to that again. Then we got a ta-tiki on the snare. Then in bar 2, we start moving on to toms. So which toms are being used? Sounds like tom 1 and tom 2. Cool, so let's move on to the subdivisions. So before we start applying which drums go with which rhythms, let's just try to figure out the underlying rhythm that goes throughout this section. So let's start with bar 1. So there we had 3 sets of 2 quavers, followed by a quaver with 2 semiquavers. Let's hear it again, and this time I will count with it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a. So it goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a. And then in bar 2, what's happening? Let's have a listen. We have 2 quavers, followed by a quaver with 2 semiquavers, then 2 sets of 4 semiquavers. So it'll be 1 and 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Alright, now let's try break that down with Sibelius and start notating this. Boom! Cool, so using just the snare, we're going to start with the underlying rhythm. We had ta-te, 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 then a ta-tiki, so we got to choose our semiquavers. This is really difficult to hold the camera while also trying to understand what's going on the screen. Then a tiki, and then we have, it was a ta-te, ta-tiki, tiki, tiki, whoops, wrong one. Tiki, tiki. Okay, let's play that one back. Where's my transport? Oh, it's hiding away in the corner here. Cool, now we've got to voice this on the correct drums. Just give me a sec. Cool, so for bar 1, we'll add the hi-hat later, but let's just move every second note to the bass drum. And then the last grouping was all on the snare. But we need to flip these around so we can accommodate the hi-hat. So pushing X. You're getting a free Sibelius tutorial here too. Flip. Let's try the other one. Flip! Flip, please! Why won't you flip? What's going on here? Flip. There we go. Thank you. All right, now in bar 2, we have snare, tom, tom, snare, snare. So let's shift that up to tom 1. Then we have a tom here. Then a tom 1 there. And then 2 tom 3s here. Now let's play that back before we add the hi-hats. Back to here. Sounds good? Cool, let's add the hi-hats. Okay, so now there are 3 open hi-hats on the first 3 beats of bar 1. Let's add those. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to flip those stem directions and also change them into X's. And lastly, add some open hi-hat cymbals. Okay, let's try to change those quickly. Got a 1, we got 2, and we got a 3. And then let's just change those to open hi-hats. So we've got to select our ornament tool. Where are you, ornaments? I can't find my ornament. Oh, here we go. One, and another one. Okay, now let's adjust our tempo to 175. I'm not sure if that's the real speed of the song, but it's as fast as this program can go. Cool, and there we have it. There's our intro for First Date. But now I'm not getting off scot-free. I also have to try play it. Okay, nice and slowly first. And now a little bit faster. And now full speed. Booyah! Welcome to the section on independence. To get your brain ready for this, we're going to do a bunch of tasks which involve multiple activities done simultaneously. So our first one, we're going to try click at a constant tempo while reading out loud. You've got to try not to let the speed of your reading be affected by the speed of your click. So for my example, I'm going to try read a bunch of dad jokes. Okay, so here we go. What did Kim Jong-un say when his father died? His career is over. Who will take the second shot in the snooker game? Find out after the break. Did you hear about the circus fire? It was intense. Did you hear about the Italian chef who died? He passed away. What's the difference between a crocodile and an alligator? One you will see in a while and the other you will see later. What's red and bad for your teeth? A brick. What's the difference between ignorance and apathy? I don't know and I don't care. Ha 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 ha. Here is number 2. Try point with your right hand and make a thumbs up with your left hand, and then swap it around. It can be quite tricky at first. You might find yourself doing this, or doing this, or even doing this. But it's a really cool exercise. Get your brain multitasking very lekker. Ah! Okay, now this last one's a bit more challenging. We're going to be counting groups of 4 while playing groups of 3 on our hands, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So our hands, just to reiterate that, are going right over left, left, right, left over right, right, left, like this. Okay, now let's try out some exercises on the drum kit. Now our first polyrhythm is going to be called Cold Cup of Tea, which is a 2/3 polyrhythm. Sounds like this. Cold cup of tea, cold cup of tea, cold cup of tea, cold cup of tea. And on the drums it sounds like this. Cold cup of tea, cold cup of tea, cold cup of tea, cold cup of tea. So our hi-hat is doing the 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And our bass is doing the 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now together they sound like this. Cold is both, cup is the hi-hat, bass is the of, T is the hi-hat again. So it goes both hat, bass, hat, both hat, bass, hat, cold cup of tea, cold cup of tea. Now to put this into a beat, our first 2 sets of 2s, our first set of 2s, not our first 2 sets of 2s. Our first set of 2s is going to be on the bass, and our second set of 2 is going to be on the snare. So it'll sound like this. Cold cup of tea, cold cup of tea, cup of tea, cold cup of tea, cold cup of tea, cold cup of tea, cup of tea, cold cup of tea. Now we're going to take the right hand and shift it between the hi-hat and the ride. So it's like this. Cool. So our next independence polyrhythm is going to be a 4/3 one, and it's going to sound like this. Pass the hot potato, pass the hot potato, pass the hot potato, pass the hot potato. And we're going to play that between the bass and the hi-hat like this. Pass the hot potato, pass the hot potato, pass the hot potato, pass the hot potato. Now we're going to take that 3 section, which is the bass. Your hi-hat's doing 4 like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the bass is doing 1, 2, 3. And we're going to put the last bass on the snare. So now it sounds like this. Now let's move our right hand to the ride. Well, here's where things get really interesting. We're going to play all the in-between quavers on the left hand on the hi-hat. Are you ready for this? With the exception of the last ride bell having an extra one. So there's 2 rides at the end instead of 1. See that again? And now a slow down version. Thanks so much for watching. If you would like to learn more from me, you can download my book for free called Advanced Drumming Concepts by clicking the link provided. Cheers!